We need to be proactive. We need to question our leaders. And if we see something that is not right, we have every right as parents to ask why is such an action being taken. And we have a right as parents, as members of this church, to get answers. Not excuses, just answers.
Very few local members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church were aware that between 2005 and 2010, the leadership of the Texas Conference and Elder Care confronted each other in 3 different court battles. The Hidalgo County Courthouse in Edinburgh, Texas. The second occurred in Corpus Christi, Texas. And the last occurred in the 5th Circuit U.S. Federal Court of Appeals in New Orleans, Louisiana. One of the 3 judges who presided over the last legal battle was none other than the retired U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. For some unexplained reason, she decided to have her 31-page briefing on the case published, which is unusual for these types of cases.
I am disappointed that there was a lawsuit and that church members were involved in it, and that our church leadership took an active role in pursuing that course.
The conference through VEF is the one that instigated that lawsuit.
The lawsuit continued in spite of attempts by church members to convince church leadership that some sort of settlement should be reached outside of the courtroom.
Ultimately, what you're going to do is you're going to spend probably 7 figures in lawyer fees that belong to the foundation. And I told him that in that meeting. I says, please stop. But he just, he paid me no attention.
VF had already signed a contract with another company, ready to step in when they won this case over Elder Care.
I didn't understand why they would want to move somebody that was bringing essentially $460,000 to the Valley Educational Foundation.
We were now attempting to talk directly to the president of the conference himself, Leighton Holly. But as always, we were told that he was busy. Hours later, we received a call from Cristina Pascual.
El presidente opta por no dar una entrevista, dada que nuestros abogados nos han recomendado no hacer ningún comentario con respecto al litigio en curso. Esa es nuestra respuesta. Si tiene alguna pregunta, me puede llamar, pero el presidente opta por no dar una entrevista. Muchísimas gracias. Hasta luego.
According to public records, in 2005, more than $63,000 were spent on legal expenses. In 2006, surpassed $277,000. And the following year, legal expenses cost more than $249,000. During the first 3 years in this legal battle, the Texas Conference, through VEF, spent a total of about $688,000 on legal costs. Valley Educational Foundation's financial statements for 2009 have not been made public yet, but it has been estimated that the grand total for legal costs to VEF will have surpassed $1 million. Elder Care spent close to $800,000 of its own money for its legal defense. It ultimately had to seek bankruptcy status through the court system in order to protect itself. This legal battle ended in February of 2010, but now the damages phase of the trial are in full swing. It is yet to be determined just how much damages Elder Care will be entitled to from VEF. But regardless of whatever the court decides that amount should be, there still remain important questions that haven't been clearly answered yet. Where did the money that the conference treasurer used to pay off the lawyers in this case come from in the first place? And where will the money come from to pay for Elder Care's damages?
I would say that it really is very dismal. What really needs to happen, the conference needs to step up to the plate, take care of that money out of its own income, and restore the money that has been spent fighting that lawsuit. That money should go back to the school. And if it did, well, then the school could be stable.
And if those people that were involved in that would just make it right and admit that what they did was wrong, we can all forgive that. We're all Christians here, and we all realize that people make mistakes.
I know is that anything that threatens Christian education, we need to seriously take a look at that and find out how we can work together as a community of believers. I'm not here against the conference necessarily. I'm here first and foremost for the education of my children. So if anything threatens that, I want to find out what threat, where does that threat comes from, and what is it that we can do as a community to try to remedy that problem so that we can move on.
If they would come to us in a remorseful way and say, you know, we're going to do everything in our power to make this right, the school will not lose any money. The money that was spent in an irresponsible way on attorney fees will be given back to the Valley Educational Foundation, so that in the long term the school will never be affected.
This problem most likely originated because somewhere along the way there was an obvious miscommunication amongst the church leaders, the school board, the foundation, and the Department of Education. Among those who should probably do some explaining is Bonnie Eder, the school superintendent for the Texas Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. She is responsible for safeguarding the best interests and welfare of the academy. But not everyone is aware that the superintendent is the wife of the conference treasurer, Errol Eder, the same Errol Eder who spearheaded the lawsuit against elder care. Max Trevino is the president of the Southwestern Union of the Seventh-day Adventists, but he has failed to express an opinion about this case. Neither has the president of the North American Division of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Their silence on this issue is disturbing, considering that those most affected by the outcome of this case are none other than the church's youth, which represent the future of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Also, I'm disappointed in the union. The union should have helped put a stop to that, but there evidently was no direction from the union to do that. And so there were a lot of mistakes that were made all the way around, that instead of building on the work of his predecessors, they chose to go a totally separate direction. And I believe that that was a huge mistake.
For Ted Wilson, leader for the World Church of Seventh-day Adventists, which has 16 million members in 200 countries worldwide, education is a priority.
But you can be sure that I will give very strong emphasis in the area of education. I am very interested in making sure that teachers who are within our system love Jesus supremely and understand the fundamental beliefs that we have and share them.
Perhaps Wilson's interest in education will cause him to reflect on the $1 million that should have been spent on Valley Grande Adventist Academy, but that instead were wasted on this litigation. Various foundations and philanthropists are ready to donate hundreds of thousands of dollars to the school. But in light of what has recently happened with Valley Educational Foundation, they prefer to wait in order to ensure that their donations will actually benefit the school and not line the pockets of others for other reasons. For now, those that are fighting for the school to remain open are asking for new leadership within the Adventist Church who will protect Christian education for future generations to come.